Under title, Keturah, the Forgotten Legacy of Abraham. In the quiet twilight of Abraham's life, after Sarah's passing, there remained much more to his story than most had ever heard. Many knew of the mighty promise given to him by God, that through his descendants, nations would be born. They spoke of Sarah, his beloved wife, and of Hagar, the Egyptian servant who bore him Ishmael. But there was another woman, hidden in the shadows of history, whose story was equally important. Her name was Keturah. One evening, Abraham sat by the fire, the wind whispering through the vast plains. The stars above him glittered like the promises of God, each one a symbol of the future generations he was told would come from his lineage. Yet, something inside him stirred. He knew his journey was not yet complete. He had known the joy of children through Sarah and Hagar, but in his heart, he sensed that his legacy was meant to extend even further. And so, after Sarah's death, and with Hagar long gone, Abraham took another wife, Keturah. Keturah was no ordinary woman. She had been part of Abraham's extended household, perhaps a servant of Sarah's. In her quiet strength, there was something noble, something destined. She bore Abraham 6 sons, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Dipan, Bani, Ani, Dian, Ishbak, and Shua. Though the Bible does not speak in great detail about her, Keturah's role in the story of Abraham's legacy was profound. Abraham watched his children grow, each one destined to form nations of their own. Zimran, whose descendants would spread across the Arabian Peninsula, and Midian, who would become the father of the Midianites, a people who would one day cross paths with Moses himself. These sons of Keturah were not mere footnotes in history, but pioneers of great tribes that would shape the lands surrounding Israel for centuries. One day, as the years passed and the burden of old age grew heavier on Abraham's shoulders, he realized the time had come to ensure the future of his house. Isaac was his son of promise, the one through whom God had sworn to fulfill the covenant. And though Abraham loved all his children, he knew he must send the sons of Keturah away to ensure Isaac's inheritance would remain untarnished by dispute. With a heavy heart, Abraham called Keturah to his side. She stood beside him, her dark hair flowing gently in the desert breeze. Her eyes, warm and understanding, met his as he spoke of what must be done. "Keturah," he said softly, "our sons are destined for great things, but the promise I carry must go to Isaac alone. I will give our sons gifts, wealth, and land, but they must journey to the east, far from Isaac, to fulfill their own destinies." Keturah nodded, her heart aching, yet filled with faith in the plan that Abraham and God had set before them. And so it was that Abraham sent their sons away, not out of neglect, but out of a deep and abiding sense of purpose. He gave them riches and provisions, and each son set off toward the east, where they would found new tribes and nations. Years passed, and the descendants of Keturah spread across the Arabian Peninsula, mingling with the sons of Ishmael and forming what would later become the great Arab tribes. Zimran's children settled near the Red Sea, Jokshan's sons in the fertile lands of Dedan, while Midian's descendants became mighty, playing a pivotal role in the history of Israel. Even as Abraham's legacy through Isaac took center stage in the biblical narrative, the influence of Keturah's children quietly rippled through history. The Midianites, with their wealth and wisdom, crossed paths with Moses in the wilderness. Keturah's descendants contributed to the trade routes that spanned the ancient world, connecting Arabia with Egypt and Mesopotamia. Her sons shaped the cultural and historical landscape in ways that would endure for generations. In the end, Keturah's story, though often overshadowed by Sarah and Hagar, was a reminder of a deeper truth. God's plan for Abraham extended beyond Isaac and Ishmael. Through Keturah, nations were born, fulfilling the promise that Abraham would be the father of many. As the fire of Abraham's life began to fade, he looked out over the desert one last time, knowing that his legacy was secure, not just through Isaac, but through all his children, even those who had been sent away. And in the quietness of that realization, the forgotten wife, Keturah, stood tall, a reminder that even those who are hidden in the shadows of history have a role to play in the unfolding of God's great plan. And so, her legacy continued, carried in the bloodlines of the nations, woven into the fabric of history. A silent yet powerful testimony to the God who sees all and uses all for his purposes.